Say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was me, Roger. Okay, we'll start out with public comment. If you got something to say, give us your name. We got a new lady taking minutes for us tonight because Patty fell and broke her shoulder and had surgery. And, so give us your name and then you can speak. Chris?
Yeah, I gotta leave early, so I'm gonna get my report done in a hurry. Couple things went on this month. Sarah Daly come and presented for the park project, to possibly get some county money to help with that. Mark Saban and Doug Bateson, our maintenance director, they were there today. They wanted to get approval to start the Stanton compactor site for our solid waste committee and all that stuff, the recycling stuff. We voted not to combine our clerk and register of deeds offices. And two other dates to remember: Saturday, May 6th, from 9 to 12 is our spring tire and recycling day. And Saturday, May 20th, from 9 to 12 is the household hazardous waste. And both of those are 615 North State Street in Stanton that are in the health department parking lot. Hopefully next month I have flyers. I don't have any of them yet, but that's about it for now.
Anybody got any questions for our commissioner?
Okay, off to another meeting.
Is that your coat, Chris?
7:30 meeting at Evergreen.
Chris, is that your coat?
What's that?
Your coat?
No, that's mine.
Oh, I think, okay.
You don't want to give away your coat.
We got any more public comment? If not, we'll move on. I need a motion to approve the agenda and accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, second by Elise to approve the agenda and accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now, need to accept, a motion to accept the consent agenda, but Nancy's gotta have a change.
Yeah, we are not gonna pay check number 22668. I did some investigating, that's not actually our bill to pay. So it's gonna get rebilled to the proper party, which is not the township.
I have a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion by Alicia, second by Nancy. All in favor, say aye.
You know what, we need to ask permission to pay the consumers.
Oh, that's right, I gotta back up.
Yeah.
We didn't get all of our consumer bills in time for Monday for Patty to pay them, and we'll get a late charge if we don't pay them when she gets back.
I would make a motion that we can go ahead and pay all our consumers bills as soon as Pat's able. Rather than waiting for the next board meeting.
I will second that.
Motion by Nancy, second by Sarah to let her go ahead and pay the consumer bills when she gets back. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now I need a motion, well, I already had it. Alicia?
I'll have the motion.
And then Nancy seconded. Okay, Chris already. Fire report's not here, DPW is not here. Duck Lake Improvement, Shirley?
We have a meeting coming up on the 10th of April. Not much to report until then, other than the lake's about half ice and the geese are there, and I don't recommend the fishermen try it.
What time's that meeting?
7.
7? Here?
Is it here, Shirley?
Yes, this room.
Okay, is that all, Shirley? Downtown Development Authority, Dave?
Yeah, just a couple items. I really want to thank everybody that participated in the Winterfest event. It was quite successful, even though we didn't have fishing, and the lake was pretty open around the edges. Especially the Lions Club, who provided the people mover. I'd like to thank them again for that. And of course, I've got to congratulate the winners of the raffle, one of which is sitting at the table over there. Okay, and we're now starting the plans for the Music in the Park series. That will start on May 25th and run until August 31st, every Thursday. That's our plans for it this year. And again, this year, we're gonna be raffling off a golf cart. And we're in the process of selecting it as I speak. I think we are. Okay, that's all I've got.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Okay, that gives us our Macomb Police Report, Officer Campbell.
Afternoon. Whatcom County covered the Township of Crystal for 125.5 hours in the month of February, with 17 total investigations, 22 traffic stops, 126 properties were inspected, with 1,496 miles of patrol. Our notable events was, there's a larceny of a building reported at the beginning of the year, or beginning of the month. That was investigated and an arrest was made on that. The suspect is currently out on bond, but that is expected to go to trial. On February 3rd, there was a breaking and entering at Colby Road, 9,000 block Colby Road. That is still currently being investigated. Any questions? All right.
Thank you. There's a chair up here if you wanna come right in the front row. Okay, that puts us down our trustee report.
Well, Chris just told you, I
Oh,
took
you
myself
listened?
up to the county commission and asked for some money for a park project, and though they were not real happy to, come off any of their general money right now, we might have a chance for some of the marijuana money that we bring into the county.
Okay, correspond, marijuana distribution. We did that for the check we got in.
I have no idea.
I'll let y'all know we
That's
did.
what she means. It could
I think
be.
it is.
We got about $102,000,
103, wasn't it?
under 203. Yeah.
Last week. So,
Okay.
Montcalm County,
Show what everybody gets.
Drain Commission, they're gonna do some maintenance work on Allen and Tissue and Whetstone Creek. Unfinished business, American Rescue. If you see, Nancy gave us how much money we got left in it. I would like to ask, back when we was handing it out, the sewer department did put in, they don't have a generator to run their building or the gate to get in. And with this last ice storm, they had a heck of a time getting in. And then the generator that they had to use off the camera trailer, and it wasn't big enough, and Kevin said when someone was wanting to kick on it, about kill the motor. But they got the big generator, they had to go around Duck Lake, and I think Park Crystal would keep pumping her down until they got power. So I think we should, if it's okay, Nancy or Sarah, I guess we're gonna check in on it. If we go ahead and give them the permission to put a 20,000 watt generator in. Kevin said they had no money to finish paying, it's gonna run almost $8,000 through Bush's Hardware.
I see no problem with it, all I wanna do is make sure that
It's
is
legal to do.
allowable
Yeah.
under there.
Okay.
I would think so, since we were able to do one for the fire department, you would think we could for the sewer department.
I don't know
They're
what,
separate from us, that's why I wanna
Yeah,
double check, because they have their own tax ID number, to see if that's okay, so.
so y'all in favor of it, it's okay to do?
We'll check into it, okay.
All right, do we need a motion on that? I should have, shouldn't we?
Well, all we're doing right now is checking
Checking.
into if it's allowable, so does he need to order it right away?
Yeah, I think he said they were gonna order some.
Okay.
We could probably get it okayed
Okay.
at our next
How
meeting.
about okay it and
And
give
if it ain't okay,
me
then it's
about
not
a
a done
week
deal.
to get the question answered.
Right.
They don't always get right back to me
Right, that's
about
all right.
that. Okay, so yes, I'll make a motion that we, okay, $8,000 of ARPA money for a sewer generator, conditions that, it is an allowable expense.
I'll second that.
Motion by Nancy, second by Leash, to spend the $8,000 for the sewer ponds if it's legal to use the money for that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Community center.
If we could just, I know I keep asking for
That's
continuance,
all right.
but with everything that happened the last couple of weeks with
Yep.
me being out of state, if we could just have
I know.
another,
Patty,
just
you
a
can
little
hear
more
either, so.
time, that would be great.
Okay, let's talk about new business. You see in there, we've gotten bid on, the state's making us put a camera on our outside box for the absentee ballots. And she needs a computer to log them in on. And if you see, we've got,
There it is.
I think the computer is for $979.
Yes.
Here,
Camera was almost $1,850. Oh, you're all right.
So pretty much the state is saying that. she
State
needs
is
this.
saying,
We have to do it.
right, she thinks before she gets in trouble, we probably should. They did, it's funny, but I was checking them, cause we got a grant to put the outside box in, but they ain't paid us a grant yet, but now the state is paying for outside boxes. But, they all had questions at our last time, well, are they gonna pay for the camera or any of that? And they didn't think they were gonna, but they were gonna check in on it, but.
In the meantime, we need to get it.
Yeah, which, if you wanna think about it, I don't know how long it'd take to get it in, but
We've got an election in May.
May, yeah,
This is
so we
beginning
probably
of March.
should, yeah.
Yeah. I will make a motion that we spend approximately $3,000 to buy the camera and the computer. It's actually $28 total, but just in case there's anything else. Since the state is requiring us to do so for elections.
So second?
Motion by Nancy, second by Leash, to get the camera and the
Nothing you can do.
computer for about a little over $2,800. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. If you look at your road contracts, this is what they're recommending we do. He told me, because we don't have, I think we probably have a little over 120, we might have around 140 this year, because I think we might have about 20,000 carried over from last year. To finish Pake's Road, to reseal that, that was our biggest one at, yeah, 41,683, but he's given, they used to give us 20% off whatever we spent. They're doing it different since they got ARPA money. For, if we at least do 1.5 miles at Tarvey, they're gonna give us $50,000. So that'd be 50,000 off that,
Oh.
141. The other ones, not including chloride, because chloride comes out of our general fund. The rest of them total up to $70,016. He said, Ed, if we buy 1 mile of gravel, they buy 1 mile. So I said he said you could count on about $20,000 there off of it.
Of all those others combined.
Oh, yeah, not gonna pay, so I'd put it down to $50,016. So if we did everything they sent us here, It would total out 141,699.
Okay, can we,
But if you wanna take time to look at it,
Yes, please.
and we could, he wants it if we could before April, but we got that special meeting coming up in the March, we could
add to it?
add to that.
Okay,
And what was the total, Kurt, I'm sorry, 141?
699, taking the 50,000 off for the Tarvey job, and 20,000 off for the rest of the work.
and don't include the what, chloride?
The chloride, and that, and the brush, he says, figures like, they got $2,000 in for spraying.
Yeah.
So we spend 2,000, they spend 2,000 on that. But he said we should get totally $70,000 from knocked off.
Okay.
So look it over, we'll discuss it in our March special meeting.
Is there 2 chloride contracts this one?
There's 2 or 3, yeah, you look at the chloride contracts, they have been gone double, 3 times a year, twice down the road. When we first started, it was once down the road, and a few years ago, we went to double. Now, I think it's best if we, well, I'll tell you what I think is best. The first time, they're gonna go double. The next couple of times, they're gonna go just single pass, but with a 15-inch extension on the back. But, at our last meeting, they don't know if they're gonna be dome chloride, because the state is trying to outlaw it.
Yay.
And he thought he'd know by April, but right now, he says if they don't outlaw it, he says it's gonna be a bummer for them spreading it, because if there's water laying in the ditch, they gotta shut their sprayer off. If they come to a swamp, they gotta shut it off. They're cracking right down on it, so right now, maybe we wanna get chloride.
Is chloride paid out of the general rather than the?
Just the chloride paid out of the
Just
general.
chloride, okay.
That's yours.
Because I already asked you that, sorry.
That's it. Any more questions on them? Okay, that moves us down. Linda Hart wants to speak.
Board, I provided you a copy of a PowerPoint presentation and a map. I want to talk to you tonight about grant opportunities for rural communities as well as community or counties with land banks. Over $21 million was passed as part of a larger $75 million blight elimination bill, as well as another $75 million blight elimination bill was passed the first of this year. It was the first bill that passed that will add to round 3 and 4 in our future. Right now, I want you to be aware of round 2 coming up. We're going to release the request for proposals in the beginning of April, and they will be due by the end of May. This is coming from the state Land Bank Authority. We are an authority formed within the state, and then underneath us, counties can form local land banks. Currently, Montcalm County does not have a local land bank, and so we act as your land bank. We hold properties that do not go through and get sold when they're tax foreclosed. If the county were to have their own land bank, typically they put their own, that county would put their own tax foreclosures in their own land bank. We also hold quite a few surplus properties from the state of Michigan. We hold a lot of properties that are permanently contaminated that nobody else should ever own, so we're just joyfully blessed with things like that. Our most recent one is the property up in St. Louis that we affectionately call the underwear property, because it was owned by Fruit of the Loom, and it was, before that, it contaminated a lot of property from previous activities, and that's owned by Velsicol. Well, it was, now we own it. So we do a lot of things with properties that really nobody else wants. So we're the blight elimination experts, I guess they feel. So these monies are available in the legislation. It's available for blight elimination, which means demolition. It can also mean stabilization of a property so that it can be renovated in the relatively near future. It can also be used for gap funding for an environmental remediation program, or not program, but a project. Usually that's already got Eagle involved in those. And then there's an 8% admin that's allowed to draw. All counties that had a land bank and all counties with a population of less than $200,000, have a $200,000 set aside. So we are holding those monies for Montcalm County into round 2. There are no applications in round 1 from this county. So I got on Facebook the other night and said, hey Sarah, are you the same Sarah that's on our board? And so I got my invite that way. Thank God for Facebook, right? Who said social media is all bad? So thank you very much for letting me come and talk. These $200,000 can be used for demolition, stabilization, environmental remediation on vacant, abandoned, or vacant properties for residential, commercial, or industrial. So one of the things, being a Crystal resident, now that I'm here, I've heard a couple of projects and a couple of concerns that I thought may address, may be an option to address using these monies. One, and I'm not pointing fingers, if you own the wet spot, I don't know you, I apologize, but there's a structure right next to wet spot. It's been there since I was a little girl. I've been coming here since before I was born, so this is my second, now my first home. So, for instance, that property is abandoned or vacant, it is residential. I think we can sufficiently prove that it's in blighted condition. Is a public nuisance, or that utilities have been turned off for more than a year. There we go, there's my chuckle I wanted. So that's one example of a property that would be eligible. It's privately owned, I believe, but that's okay under this, as long as the owner's in agreement to have the work done, which in this case is demolition. It could be stabilization for something else. But then there would be a short-term lien put on the property so that we are not allowing private owners to become unduly rich. So they let a blighted structure happen, they get the government to tear it down for nothing, and then they go and sell it for profit. So we don't want to encourage that behavior. It's really frowned upon in the governmental world. So there is a brief period, probably 7 years, which there would be a lien on the property. That could be waived if that property went into a next phase development or something. I've heard, and I hear the grapevine, that they've talked about doing something on that property. I don't know what that really means or looks like. So that is an example of a project that could be qualified. This new application will be very similar to the one that's currently on our website. So if you want to pop over to the State Land Bank Authority's website under proposals, RFPs, or request for proposals and qualifications. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. You can see what the last one was. That was due the end of January. We originally put this information all out through county treasurers because that's where land banks generate, out of the county treasurer's office. That's where they blossom and form. So I don't know what information's been passed along by our county treasurer, but being as I live here and there's $200,000 sitting there, I would like us to get it. I can't because I'm a scorer, and I pay the money out as a reimbursement. I can't really do your application. I could help ghostwrite it a little bit, but I can't do it for you. I also don't know the people involved at the West 5. My friend at the DDA.
Yep, I was just gonna say, does the township have to make those applications, or can the DDA do it as well?
The township has to make it.
Township. Okay.
Yep, it can be any local unit of government or a land bank.
So the DDA though could help ghostwrite or help prepare the application
Yes.
for the township?
Yes.
But it's not the West Spot building.
That is not the West.
It is not,
No.
I thought it was I thought it was
No,
the
they
same
have-
owners, but
No, that's
Different
separate.
owners.
Okay.
Next door.
see what the rumor mill will do to you? In a public forum, and I'm on Facebook, lying my pants off.
Garrett,
last name, Garrett.
Garrett Bacher.
Garrett Bob
But
owns
he-
that, plus the other, so the west spot's right in the middle of it.
Okay,
So Garrett Bacher owns that building plus up behind us. And where the parking is currently is Garrett Bacher's property as well,
okay.
which, I don't know what the contract ends for parking there, but, you know, there's a whole thing with that too.
But from a DDA standpoint, eliminating blight is a good thing to do. no matter what.
Another component of the demolition money is acquisition is an allowable expense.
But you can help.
So the township could acquire it,
But
demolish it,
But that
There we go.
money can be used though, like for demolition.
yes. Acquisition, demolition, environmental testing for asbestos or lead. So, I've given the board handouts, I can give you a set too, anybody else that wants to really know about my boring day job.
Would that also include removal of objects?
Yes, inside or on the actual property. It would not include, like, we had one applicant put in for just taking away all the old nasty cars and refrigerators and crap that somebody had us, but they were gonna leave the house and, okay, that's not really a demolition activity, I'm sorry, it didn't quite fit, but there has to be a structure involved. There has to be a structure coming out.
Okay.
So, any questions, I'm happy to help. Your actual contact for your county is Brian Wooden, but feel free to give me a call. I mean, there's only 9 of us on our staff, so we know what each other of us is doing most of the time, so. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. I'd make a motion that we have Sarah work with Linda and get a paperwork filled out.
I would second that, how's Sarah feel about it?
Got a chance.
I'll cruise over there and take Pete and probably get with David and
You go ahead.
see what we can get done.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. That puts us, not on the public comment. We got upcoming events, border review is March 13th and 15th. The 13th is 9 to 3 and, no, yeah. 3 to 9, yeah. And Wednesday it's earlier.
Says on the door, 3
On both days? Oh, okay. And then, March 22nd at 7 PM, our window will be closed for the marijuana license. And we'll have a public hearing on that. And plus, we'll be talking about our road contracts. Plus, are you gonna do a presentation, Dave?
Yes, I will.
Dave's gonna do a presentation. Then spring cleanup is April 15th from 8 AM to noon. Okay, any more public comment? Barb?
Yes, I was listening, you were talking about the community center, Ashley, was it Ashley or Alicia? Alicia, okay. My granddaughter's name is Alicia.
That's what my dad called me.
So, at a previous meeting, you were talking about going on and finding out information about the building, which brought me to think you are not being informed of what the previous discussions and things that have occurred with the board. There are many of us in this room that were on the committee that started working 5 years ago on what to do with this building. Now, have you heard anything about that? or-
I have gotten some input.
Okay, there are, like, for example, I see David Wright, I see, Shirley Pyle and Sherry Coote, and, let's see who else am I missing? Myself, were on that committee. And we had township meetings, and the people came up with a plan, and the committee recommended that the township get to vote whether or not they wanted to do something and how much money they were going to spend. And it never happened. It just never happened. So right now, it seems like we're doing piecemeal work, and you are doing deja vu all over again, because I know that people that are on the board and that were here, that they went around trying to do things and figure out prices and costs and things like that. So I feel sorry for you, because the deja vu all over again. You're doing work that has already been done. So at some point, the board is gonna make a decision on what they're going to do, but, you know, it seems like we're gonna get the park project done before anything happens with the school. And, you know, the school represents our community.
Yes, I do know that.
And so I'm glad that you're looking into it. However, I'm thinking that there are many people here that would love to sit down and talk to you and to Sarah, who's not, you came to some of those meetings, so that was good.
And I'm open to that.
Okay, I I'm not gonna facilitate it.
Yeah.
However, I've given you the names of those people that could, and can explain everything, but we spent 4 years of meeting like sometimes once a week to work on this project. So,
Okay, anybody else? Tim?
Any shareable information about, the police contract that, came up at the last meeting?
With Carson?
Where we had Carson come out and where we, I don't think we have any information from, Mike Williams yet, but. I just
Mike
thought-
Williams, I talked to him and, Under Sheriff Andy, is that right? As of right now, they don't have no plans on pulling our guy. He says it could come to where they might have to cut a few of our hours, but he says he won't cut our contract. The only thing that he says, cause it was Carson's idea wanting to come here, that he'd be in favor of it, because he says it would free up his man here. But he says if we're not for it, he ain't gonna pull our man. So, and we ain't heard, well, the chief down at Carson has called, but they don't have it ain't going good for them either, so they ain't got no prey. We're waiting more or less before we can make a final decision, I guess, what kind of money it's gonna cost.
Okay, thank you.
And I think even before it comes to that, we maybe have to put it back on cause I think our police village only brings in about 100,000. And I think they're over 100,000 wanting, so we'd have to put it back on if you guys want to pay more millage cover.
Okay,
But we've gotten a lot we ain't found too many for it yet.
thank you.
Nope.
Nope. Anybody else? Jeremy?
In regards to that, I was talking with a friend of mine who unfortunately had to leave early today that was a retired state police officer, and I told him we had this dilemma going on, but I was hoping he would bring some input to the meeting with some ideas. But I think the consensus from all the people I've talked to has been that the county is doing a really good job of balancing public safety and not becoming a nuisance that could turn this resort town into a ghost town pretty quickly. So,
Yeah.
whatever we do, I hope that we keep that balance in place.
And the only real complaint we've had in this town and is the young kids driving the golf carts around overload. And it wasn't Mr. Campbell, it was one of our other officers, said that they wouldn't write a ticket because a prosecutor wouldn't do nothing about it. Well, like Andy and Mike told me, that's not right. He says, number one, it won't go to the prosecutor if it's a young kid driving. He says, if they wanna write him a ticket, it'll go to the juvenile court, juvenile court. So he says, and number two, he says, my guys can pull them over and write them a ticket, or they can call their parents, tell them to come and get their kids in their golf cart. So that's what your boss said, I don't.
I got the golf cart on a flatbed, had to go pay the compound on it.
Probably Jerry run out of room for golf carts.
Build a bigger fence for
Yeah, there you go.
Roger, you need a golf cart, don't you?
Yeah, spring cleanup, April 15th, 8 to 12. Anybody else, public comment?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Nancy, second by Lisa, to adjourn at 7:35. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
You know what?
Go
got a question for you. What would be the chances, or how would we go about in the spring? You know, when your kids used to have bike rodeos and circus shows and tell you what was legal and what wasn't. What if we had a golf cart rodeo to at least get some of the information? Right, but you could, yeah, we could.
I have not, I go through there.
Well, that's part of it. I see now they got washouts.
Oh, when I listened, I was like, if I would have been here, I would have been jumping out of my seat, going, live.
Right on.
Yeah, everybody's half Hispanic.
Oh, thank you.
And as soon as he gets stopped, she said, hey, he goes, I
No,
have a
you've
seat,
done a
I
good
have a
job.
seat, I have a seat.
Everybody loves you.
They're like, that's fine, they go around
Section 1 and 2.
and they're like,
Have a good night.
how come, and his buddy was with him, definitely has the same business address, his buddy had no address. They're like, yeah, and he's like, well, if you look, this is my mom's car.
Down the road is where
Yeah, and so we're going to Lansing.
And they started there,
It's a
all the way
Sunday
around.
afternoon, Devin goes, we're going to Best Buy, I need parts for my computer.